Hi everyone! In today's Outfit Studio tutorial, we are going to cover merging meshes. There are two examples we are going to work on. The first is a simple merge of two separate meshes that already share properties and don't really need to be kept separate. And the second is remerging a mesh back into the main mesh after we've separated it out first. You can find the official guide for merging on the Body Slide and Outfit Studio wiki page, and I've put the link in the description and encourage you to have a look. Here's what we will be doing in this session. I will be assuming that you've completed all the tutorials so far, or that you already know the basics of using Outfit Studio. If you have any trouble following along, please refer back to the previous videos in the series. To do the steps along with me, download and install the Simply for Practice mod that I made as a companion to this tutorial series. The link is in the description. Let's start off with some reasons why you might want to merge separate meshes into one. I'm going to suggest 3 reasons to get us started. First, the two existing meshes in the NIF share the same properties and have no reason to be kept separate. Second, you separated out some vertices and you want to merge them back in. Or third, you added another mesh that shares the same properties as the original, such as making one boot and duplicating it for the other foot. We will do an example of number 1 and number 2 in this video, and later we'll have an opportunity to work with number 3. In terms of cautions, these will always apply, no matter why you want to merge meshes together. Remember in the About NIFs video that I showed you why vertices have to be in the same order for both the size 0 and size 1 files? Well, that's the main point that you need to worry about when merging meshes. All the vertices in a mesh get numbered from 1 to whatever. So if you add or remove vertices, the numbers get adjusted accordingly. And if you don't add or remove them in exactly the same way for the 2 different size files, you'll end up with vertices numbered differently in each one. And that will break the weight sliding. So the key point to remember here is to always separate vertices and merge meshes in precisely the same way and same order for the size 0 and size 1 files. Alternatively, you can create just one size and make the other size from it. This can be achieved using a slider in Outfit Studio, which we will do later, or you can use Body Slide, which I believe does this for you. As I noted, one good reason to merge meshes together is when they share all the same properties and don't really need to be kept separate. It isn't necessarily bad to keep them as separate meshes, but it's more efficient and sometimes just makes more sense for them to be a single mesh. They can always be re-separated later, as they will remain distinct from the rest of the mesh even after being merged. In this example, we are going to work with the demo pants. If you've worked along with the tutorials up to now, then load the longpants_0 NIF into Outfit Studio. If you haven't, then just bring in the pants_0 NIF from this same folder. We're going to merge the leg band with the pants because they use the same partition, share the same texture file, and have almost the same shader properties. These are the main prerequisites that are needed to merge two meshes. They have to have the same partitions, use the same texture files, and have the same shader properties. Remember that you can see the texture and shader properties in Outfit Studio by either double-clicking on a mesh or by right-clicking and selecting Properties. Here you can see that the pants and leg band both use exactly the same DDS texture files. They also share the default shader type, specular color, specular strength and power, and the same emissive color, emissive multiple, and alpha number. The only difference is that the pants have transparency applied as indicated by this Ni alpha property in the NIF. In most cases, you would not want to mess with this. However, we no longer need these pants to have transparency because the invisible vertices that used to be here have already been deleted. Remember those foot vertices that we deleted in a previous video? So we can actually remove this transparency flag from the pants and thus make the pants and leg band share exactly the same properties. The act of merging meshes is very easy. Just select a mesh, like the leg band, and either go to Shape and select Merge Geometry, or right-click on the mesh and select the same thing. Do that now and you'll see that we get an error message telling us that the alpha properties do not match, which we know because I've just gone over that. So let's cancel this and first delete the transparency flag from the pants. Double-click on the pants mesh, then here in the transparency section, click on the Remove button and then click OK. You can look around at the pants and see that this has made no difference to their appearance. Now select the leg band again and try to merge the meshes. You'll see that the message says there are no errors this time, so we are good to go. But before we click OK, let me note a couple of things in this little pop-up window. Read the text at the top. It contains useful information and warnings about merging meshes. Next, note this middle section where we choose the source and the target. Generally speaking, I would select the main or the primary mesh as the target, and whatever you select as source will be merged into the target. Outfit Studio is usually pretty smart about filling these in automatically, but sometimes it doesn't really know what you want to do, so always check that these are set the way you want. The last bit to note is this little tick box in the corner that says Delete Source Shape. It is ticked on by default, and that's usually what you'll want. If you untick it, it will only merge in a copy of the mesh and leave the original alone. This is fine to untick if that's what you really want because you want to keep a copy of the second mesh. But otherwise, just let Outfit Studio delete it. Remember that we can separate it back out again anytime if needed. Alright, so once these are set the way you want, click OK, and bam! The meshes are merged. You can see how the vertices have been renumbered by selecting one of the brush tools like masking and mousing over the vertices. In the original, the vertices in this area of the leg band have numbers like 57, 60, 61, and so on. But in the merged version, their numbers are now 22, 60, 22, 65, and such. You can also see how we can still smart select the mesh we merged in. For example, I'm going to use the masking tool to messy click around the leg band and then use the D and A keys to isolate just the leg band. So with the size 0 pants done, let's export them. I'm going to put them in the demo mod folder and call these, I'm running out of names here. Let's see, how about long pants merge _0. Then we can unload the project, drag and drop the size 1 pants in here, and follow the same process. First, remove the transparency from the pants mesh because we actually do not need it. Then select the leg band, right-click, and select Merge Geometry. We have to be sure we do the merge exactly the same for this size. So source should be the leg band, while target should be the pants. Click OK, and bam again, they are now merged. Export this just like we did for size 0, and let's call it long pants merge _1. If you do not merge them in the same order, let's say that I put pants as the source and leg band as the target in the size 1 file, then you can see that the vertices do not have the same numbering. And in the game, you'll have the dreaded exploding mesh problem. So be sure you are always paying attention to the order of events and make yourself notes as you go along if you're worried that you won't remember. In the previous video, we talked about how you may want to separate vertices in order to handle them differently than the rest of the mesh. For example, if your mesh contains a combination of flexible and stiff materials, you may want to separate them for slider conversions or weight painting so that you can handle the stiff pieces as solid objects and the rest as flexible fabric. You might also want to separate some vertices to prevent distortion of geometric shapes like circles and squares. Generally speaking, as long as you don't want to change the texture or shader properties of the vertices you separated, it's probably a good idea to re-merge the meshes back together after you are done making adjustments. Let me remind you here of the cautionary statements that I noted in step 1. If you separate and re-merge vertices for one file size, you have to do exactly the same thing in exactly the same order for the other file size, or you will break weight sliding and end up with exploding meshes in the game. Okay, so we're going to use the gemmed amulet again for this example. We're going to separate the settings and the gems, enlarge the middle one, and then merge some stuff back together. If you did the exercise in the last video along with me, then load the sep gem amulet f_0 NIF into Outfit Studio. Otherwise, just bring in the size 0 amulet mesh from the other folder in the demo mod. Mask the vertices of the settings. Then right-click on the amulet mesh and select Separate Vertices. Give the mesh a relevant name like Setting and click OK. Now mask just the small side settings and separate them again. Then hide the small side settings. If you separated the gems out in the previous video, we also need to separate the side gems. Do that the same way that we just did for the settings. I'm going to rename the middle gem too, so I select it, hit F2, and type in a new name. Let's resize the middle setting to cover the whole amulet. Select the settings mesh and the middle gem mesh if you have that separated like I do, and then select the transform tool. Click and drag on the little black box in the middle of the tool to resize these meshes in all directions at the same time. Keep enlarging the setting and gem together until they fill the entire amulet. Then adjust the position using the other parts of the transform tool a little bit here if you want. Once this is where you want it, select just the middle setting, but not the gem if you have it separated like I do, and merge it back with the rest of the necklace. Leave the side settings and gems as separate meshes. We have plans for these later. In fact, we're going to export them as their own NIF and delete them from this main amulet. Select only the side settings and the side gems if they are separate like mine. Export to NIF and put them in the other folder with the relevant name like amulet side gems f_0. Then select the other meshes and export them as the new amulet NIF. I'm going to call mine Big Gem Amulet f_0. Unload the project, bring in the size 1 version of the same amulet, which is sep gem amulet f_1 if you're following along, and repeat the steps. Remember, it is crucial to complete the steps in exactly the same order or it will break weight sliding. First, mask the vertices of all the settings and separate them. Then mask the small side settings, separate them, and hide them. If your amulet is like mine, separate the side gems as well, just like we did for the side settings. Now select the middle setting and middle gem if yours is like mine, and use the black box in the middle of the transform tool to enlarge it. Make it fill the entire amulet, and then reposition it using the arrows of the transform tool if you need to. Once you're done, select just the middle setting, but not the gem if you have it separated like me, and merge it back with the rest of the necklace. Rename the gem to just middle gem using F2 as a shortcut key. Just like we did for size 0, we're going to leave the rest of the meshes like they are. First, export the side settings and the gems if you're like me, as we did before. And then select the rest of the meshes to export as the new amulet. And I'm going to name mine Big Gem Amulet F_1. To spot check our work real quick, drag and drop the new size 0 amulet NIF back into Outfit Studio. With the masking tool selected and the brush size very small, check a few of the vertices in each corresponding mesh to make sure they have the same vertex number. If they don't, you'll need to start over and make sure to do the same steps in exactly the same order for both size meshes. And that's it for our Outfit Studio work for now. We will come back to these meshes again later to turn them into a choker and some earrings. So just leave them here in the demo mod for our future use. Just like always, I recommend opening all the meshes we worked on today in NifSkope to make sure they look good. And I refer you back to video number 6 if you have any trouble with this step. First, open up both the pants meshes, which I've called Long Pants Merge, and have a look around, and then close both windows. Next, open up both the amulet meshes. First, just rotate around and have a look. Remember that if you're wondering why there are colors here when there weren't in Outfit Studio, it's because these are using something called vertex colors, which we're not going to talk about right now. We didn't delete anything from these meshes, so we don't really need to check the vertex and triangle count, although you can certainly do that if you'd like. Once you are done checking the NIFs, just close out the windows. So that's the basics of merging meshes. The main tricks to remember are that both meshes have to share the same partitions, same texture files, and same shader properties. And you have to separate and/or merge in exactly the same order for both size 0 and size 1 NIFs, or it will break the weight sliding. I hope that you are following along and tweaking these meshes with me, because they are all going to be part of larger projects in future videos. And hopefully the pace is good, but please do let me know in the comments if you're having any trouble following along. Thanks for joining me to learn about merging meshes. We are going to spend the next couple of videos getting ready to put some of these into the game for real, starting with using the transform tool again, and this time we're going to put it to use for making some ground models. We haven't worked with ground models before, so I hope you'll join me for that. See you again soon. Bye.